When Jesus went to Jerusalem for the last time, he went with the 12, his closest followers called the disciples. On Thursday of the last week, they met in an upstairs room for their last meal together. This was when Jesus would tell them that he would always be with them and us when we share the holy bread and wine. But something happened before he shared the bread and wine with them. Jesus said, "Someone who is sitting at this table will betray me." The disciples were shocked and sorry and angry. They cried, "Is it I? Who is it?" Later, Judas did betray Jesus. He showed the high priest soldiers who Jesus was later in the Garden of Gethsemane. The church gave the disciples symbols after they began to tell the story and they became apostles. Each one has a special sign to help us remember them and their stories. Jesus is in the middle, and the disciples are in groups of 3 on either side. Let's see who's here. Here is John. John is probably the one who was called the beloved disciple. John first learned about Jesus when he was with John the Baptist, and right away he went to tell his brother James, and they both followed Jesus. Both brothers were fishermen, and their father's name was Zebedee. John is probably the one who wrote the story of Jesus we call the Gospel of John. Here is the sign for John. On it is a cup and a snake. It helps us remember that one time some people tried to put poison in his cup, but the snake came and drank it. The snake died to save John's life. Stories say that John was the only disciple who wasn't killed. He died on an island when he was an old man, full of years. Here is Peter. He is leaning in toward John behind Judas. Peter was often angry. He looks angry now, but he became more peaceful as the years went by. Peter first learned about Jesus from his brother Andrew. See, he is sitting next to Andrew. although it's kind of hard to tell the way he's leaning in towards John. Both brothers look a lot alike. Peter's sign is crossed keys and an upside-down cross. One time, Jesus told Peter that he was the rock on which he would build his church. And later he told him that he would give him the keys to the kingdom. When Peter was old, he went to Rome to be with the other Christians. But it was against the law to be a Christian person in those days, and the soldiers caught him. When they were going to nail him to a cross, Peter asked them to nail him upside down. He didn't deserve to die like his Lord. The soldiers did as Peter asked, and old Peter died on the cross too, but upside down. Judas is the one who betrayed Jesus. See, he has a bag with 30 pieces of silver in it in the painting. That is what he was paid to show the guards who Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane. I wonder what the best symbol for Judas would be. Sometimes his shield is completely black. But I wonder, is there really no light in that life at all? Sometimes his sign has 30 pieces of silver and sometimes a rope. Judas hanged himself when he realized what he had done. Judas may have lost hope for himself, but I wonder if Jesus forgave him. Perhaps it is best to simply leave his shield blank. Here is the sign for Matthias. Matthias replaced Judas as one of the 12. His sign has a sword and a book. He died for telling the story of Jesus. On this side, there is Thomas, James, and Philip. Thomas is leaning in towards Jesus so his face is next to him. Thomas was the one who was always asking hard questions, and sometimes he is called Doubting Thomas. Thomas's sign has a builder's square and a spear. The builder's square is what builders use to make square corners in buildings. Thomas went to India to tell the people there the story of Jesus and to build the church in that part of the world. He died in India for telling the story of Jesus. Here is James. He is really sitting next to Jesus. His brother John is on one side, and he is on the other. He and his brother were fishermen, like Peter and Andrew. They worked for their father Zebedee. James and John, together with Peter, made up an inner circle of 3 very close friends of Jesus within the group of 12. The 3 were with Jesus when he prayed on the mountain, and they were with him when he prayed in the garden. I'm afraid that they went to sleep 3 times in the garden. The sign for James has 3 shells on it. James was the first apostle to die. King Herod of Agrippa I had him executed, and so sometimes his sign has a sword on it. Here's Philip. Philip was with Jesus when he fed the 5,000. The people were hungry for the truth about life. And the truth is